It's sad to sort of make this video because it does kind of give up a dream that I held for quite some time as a result of Elon Musk. As a result of his great innovations and really him doing his salesman routine and selling me on the idea of going to Mars. And this is like a dream that's been crumbling inside me for years and years and years. And eventually SpaceX gave up on the project of going to Mars, and I really wanted to see it happen. So I believed in it. I bought into it because yes, I do really want to see humans land on Mars. I do want to see us get further than the moon in terms of human space exploration, and that's coupled with a sort of a sad fact about life in the 21st century, that on some levels at least, um, we're not actually as advanced in terms of our technology as we were in the 1960s. The NASA have decided to try and outsource the funding for a lunar lander to SpaceX or Blue Origin, and I don't see either of those companies as being able to land on the moon anytime soon. I um I was I was taken up, really bought into Starship initially, especially when I saw it land again on the launch pad. I thought that was a highly impressive technological demonstration. And on a level, I still believe that, but it is an inferior rocket to Boeing's Space Launch System, and there's no two ways about that really. Like, Boeing's Space Launch System is not a reusable rocket, but it can get astronauts to the moon. It's built using the fundamental principles of rocket design, of thrust to weight ratio, and building out of the lightest materials you possibly can. So they built it out of aluminium, powering it with the best form of rocket fuel, which is hydrogen. Building on everything that's gone before. And I look at Starship now and I think, like, it is a steel monstrosity, really. It has no capability of getting to the moon. It doesn't seem to behave well in low Earth orbit even. It can't be easily steered and controlled. Like, that it's got fucking like flaps on it and things, and like that's thought to like control it. Like, you got flaps to control something in space. Like, why did you think of that? That's ridiculous. Like, the flaps won't work in space, and like you've got to use like little thrusters on the craft to steer it around. Like, why haven't you paid attention to the space shuttle? The SLS does not work as well as the space shuttle. It doesn't. Sorry, not the SLS, the Starship. I We are going backwards in terms of our technology. I'm not one of these moon landing conspiracy people. Yeah, I believe we landed on the moon, definitely. And as as someone with some education in physics and science more generally, like, and engineering, like, I think it is possible to land on the moon, and we know that with unmanned spacecraft as well, which have landed on the moon. But like, we can do that. We can send astronauts there, land on the moon, but we haven't done it since the 60s, or the early 70s when the Apollo missions ended. But haven't done it for over 50 years, and it doesn't seem like we're capable of developing that technology again, and doing it again. And what we should have been doing, like, we should have been doing it more regularly, going to the moon often, and yet doing things like building bases on the moon. But like, Blue Origin and SpaceX cannot land on the moon. Starship, they've got this idea of this huge machine. This is in all their conceptual arts that they're producing for their rocket program, of these huge Starship devices like landing vertically on the moon, like saying like that's going to be the future. I'll be very surprised if that happens. Sorry to say, but yeah, space seems like an impossible dream, doesn't it? But it's so ingrained in the way I think and the way so many other people think. And we'd love to have this science fiction future of space exploration. You know, and I think it would be an awesome thing, really I do. But I look at Starship now, you know, with more with a shade more realism, I think, to my thinking. And I think this actually represents a regression in our technologies. We've been focusing on all sorts of other things, like the possibility of space planes, like reaction engines who developed this really great concept called the Sabre engine of converting a jet engine basically into a rocket engine once you reach a certain altitude. You know, Sabre for I think it's synergetic air breathing rocket engine or something like that, and they they needed a mere $200 million in funding to get that going. And space planes like would have a higher thrust to weight ratio than any rocket because rockets are really heavy when they take off. They're huge fuel tanks. That's what almost all of a rocket is. So it's filled with fuel. You've got a space plane that can take off from the ground. You got way less propellant load on board a craft like that, so you can get a bigger payload into orbit for a lower amount of money, and of course get it back from orbit and reuse it again. So like, why are people really looking into rockets at all? Rockets are sort of crap. If you think about like what other technologies, I obsess over a space elevator, for one thing. You know, I think that could dramatically lower the cost of getting payloads into orbit. I think that sort of technology could really open up something like Mars as a possibility for human exploration. We'll just be able to get way more stuff into space. So we can get the equipment into space that we need to send to Mars to get ourselves back again, if you see what I mean. Like these single stage to orbit rockets that we need to land on Mars in the first instance to get the astronauts back off again. That's how we should be trying to do this. But like I don't see SpaceX doing that. You know, I see like them obsessing over rockets and trying to improve rockets, and it's all this stuff about landing rockets again. It's sort of fanning about. If we've got space planes, like that is obviously more advanced technology than a fucking humongous fuel tank that is, you know, incredibly sluggish getting off the launch pad and gets to space eventually. But like, I don't want to like criticize rocket science too much because I'm fascinated by it. But it's not the holy grail of space exploration to have rapidly reusable rockets. I don't know how in any sense that machine, Starship and the Super Heavy booster, I don't know how in any sense that will be rapidly reusable in anything like the near future also. That's my honest opinion. From having read into this as much as I possibly can in my spare time. Like, you'll never reuse that thing. Like, well, they might reuse it once or twice, but it take months to refit it and ensure it's safe to launch. Like, and if I was a director of NASA or something, like I would never put astronauts in it. I would never expose a human being to the sort of risk they'd be exposed to in that steel monstrosity. I'm sorry to say, Like Elon Musk is worth $1.1 trillion now. Like I think he's headed for a bit of a crash at some point because SpaceX stock has already started to come down, hasn't it? Because it's only determined by what people are willing to pay for it. After all, it's determined by confidence in him as an entrepreneur, confidence in his personality, confidence in his companies. That's been built like his showpiece really of landing that rocket stage again. But it's ultimately hot air. That's what his valuation is really built on. It's not built on tangible products and services that have been delivered to a consumer base. It's sort of a bit like Tesla. Like we don't really need electric cars. We can run internal combustion engines on alcohol. And we can produce basically as much alcohol as we want. Alcohol is really easy to produce at scale. So we don't need that. Yeah, it's kind of fucking stupid. I don't know why like more people don't realize this. But they don't realize. So they invest in SpaceX and stuff like that. So uh, Starship is a fucking stupid rocket. It's not a rocket even. It's not really a rocket. It's a firework. It's 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 a marketing ploy also. It's part of a marketing ploy just to build confidence in an idea and in a business and get its stock to be worth really a lot of money. Just to make money. That's all this is for. This isn't about space science or about rocket science. You know, we got rocket science really right with the Saturn V. You know, which was a precision engineered machine with thousands and thousands of engineers working round the clock on it, you know, shaving every gram of excess weight they could off the thing to get it to work. And they did get it to work, and it worked beautifully. And we had the Apollo program. That's what engineering should be about. That's what space science should be about. That sort of thing. Precision machines, not some gigantic steel hulking thing that doesn't work.